Picture a peaceful street in South London, one that looks like any other. But one Saturday afternoon in March of 1989, this particular street became the scene of a devastating train crash. It happened just behind the houses on Glen Avenue, a row of homes that backed directly onto the Brighton main line. Before this, it was just the kind of place where the sound of trains was part of everyday life. Until 1:39 p.m. on that March afternoon. Two commuter trains, both headed to London. One pulled out of Purley station after a normal stop, the other one flying down the tracks at about 60 miles an hour. And that second train should have stopped. But it didn't. Instead, it slammed into the first one just as it was crossing over onto the same line. The resulting impact, well, it was catastrophic. Carriages derailed, steel twisted, coaches tumbled down the embankment, crashing through trees and smashing into the gardens of Glen Avenue. One man who lived there just stepped out of his greenhouse to turn around and see it collapsed under the wreckage of an entire carriage. The end result looked like a war zone just dropped into the middle of suburbia. The neighbours were the first to respond, grabbing ladders, soaring through branches, covering the injured passengers with emergency blankets. It took the actual emergency services less than half an hour to arrive, but by that point, well, the damage was done. 5 people lost their lives in the accident and dozens were injured. And when investigators arrived on the scene, they faced one big question. Why didn't that second train stop? The driver, Robert Morgan, said he couldn't remember what the signals were on the approach, what colour they were. But tests showed that they'd been working properly, and he should have received the correct warnings. His train had a working AWS system, which is an in-cab alert that sounds a horn if you're approaching a signal of danger. So, how could he have missed it? The investigation pinned the blame on him, and in a trial after the accident he was charged with manslaughter. But then the story took a turn. Years later on appeal, it was recognised that Tango 168, the signal that had been involved, had been passed at danger 4 times in the 5 years before this crash. That should have been a massive red flag to British Rail, but no major changes were made, at least not until after Purley took place. This wasn't just a case of one man making a mistake. It must have partially been due to a flaw in the system. Years later, Morgan saw his conviction overturned. The courts acknowledged something that we now understand better than ever. Humans make mistakes, and the design of systems needs to account for that. The real lesson of Purley? If a signal's passed at danger 5 times in 5 years, the problem might not be the person driving the train. If you want to hear the full story, what happened before, during and after that fateful day in 1989, come and have a listen to the podcast Signals to Danger. Our episode on Purley is available right now, wherever you get your podcasts.